So, how it works with me is because I study the Bible, whereas before I used to just read it, I will think about something and then I will meditate on that for days. And then hopefully God will give me the revelation that I need that lines up with other scriptures to get clarity on something so it's not contrary, so that everything makes sense. This was something that I wanted to share with all of you before I went out of town. It was something that I noticed when we talked about the beasts and the faces. And I want you to ask yourself what's missing when we talk about this. So, for time purposes, we're just going to kind of summarize here. And then I've got a passage that I want to share with all of you. But something is missing and it's interesting. And because I am highly observant, I don't yet know what this means. But I do think that everything in Scripture is significant. So, my little drawing, you see the land, you see the little oxen, the cattle. He's got horns, right, in black. You see the tree, you see the sort of birds in the air in the black, and you see the water, and you see the orange fish, right? And then I sort of in the middle like have birds, and then I have cattle, ox, domesticated, right? I showed like the little steer, and then I have, the lion and bear, because those are wild creatures, right? So in the purple on the right, I have some passages for summary. Genesis 1 verses 20 through 21, we know that God speaks about his creation of the fishes and the birds. Then in 1 verse 24, the cattle, there's my little cattle with the four legs, the tail, the little steer horns, etc. In the four beasts from Daniel 7 verses 3 through 27, it speaks about the beasts that come from the sea. One is like a lion, eagle's wings, bear, leopard. The fourth one was different, remember. And then the faces, we see in Ezekiel 1, it's a lion, an ox, an eagle. And then Ezekiel 10:14, again, the faces, a cherub, man, lion, and an eagle. And then Revelation 4 verse 7 speaks about the four living creatures, a lion, a calf, a man, an eagle. So what is missing from the sort of beasts and the creatures? What is missing that God created? Well, there's no representation of the fish. And I noticed this, but I couldn't bring it to you because I was going out of town and I didn't have time to diagram this out. Okay, so we have lions, we have bears, we have leopards. Those are all wild animals. We know that God created the cattle. So when we see the calves, right, from Rev 4, when we see the ox from Ezekiel 10, those are domesticated animals, right? We see there's a cherub created by God, man created by God. So we see all of these things that God created, but what we don't see is any representation of the fish. So why is that? So this is one of those things I don't have an answer for. This is just something new that I noticed. So I'm presenting all of this information to you. What we're going to do now is we're going to look at something, and this is speculative. I don't have an answer, but I am super observant and I notice this, and I think everything has a purpose and it's our job to seek it out. So there's a Leviathan in Scripture, Psalm 74, Job, and Isaiah. I have the passages there in red if you would like to look those up. Of course, we can't read them for time purposes. We've mostly done a summary so far. But we know that the Leviathan was cut up, etc., for food. There is a representation of the Leviathan as a creature of the sea. Is it possible? I'm asking a question. Is it possible in Revelation 21 verse 1 that the reason that there's no representation of the sea is because we know that the beast comes out of the sea, because Revelation 21 verse 1 tells us there isn't going to be a sea anymore. It says this: "Now I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and there was no more sea." Is it because the sea is defiled? Because there is a Leviathan? Is that why? I'm asking a question. I'm not stating it as fact, but we don't see any representation of the fish. We only see representation of birds, of cattle, of domesticated, of wild animals. Because we know in Genesis 1 verse 2, the very last passage in the red, that it said that God's Spirit was hovered over the waters. Just something interesting for us to ponder. Armor Up, we write at dawn. May God bless you as always. Have a great day.